Hey everybody, hope this finds you doing well. We're going to go ahead and jump right into it with the cryptocurrency market update. As you can see, Bitcoin trading just under $77,000. It's down about 1.5% over the past week. Ethereum down nearly 4% over the past week, trading under 2,100. We have BNB trading at $654. It's basically flat over the past week. We have XRP down 4.43%. Then we have Solana down a little over 1%. Tron holding down the number 8 spot. Dogecoin still trading a little bit above 10 cents. It's down actually 7% over the past week. And then we have Hyperliquid, which has definitely had a lot more hype lately. The decentralized exchange has been all the rage of late, and it is up over 34% over the past week, now holding on to that top 10 spot like it did last week. So one of the largest or biggest news stories, I should say, over the past week is that we in the United States have a new Federal Reserve chair. His name is Kevin Warsh. He has now been sworn in, and he offered some comments during his swearing in that could give some indication of how he may be viewing the current macroeconomic landscape. As we mentioned in our last video, we are having issues with inflation. It is ticking up. The last report was at 3.8%, which hasn't been that high in a couple of years. And so we are having issues, obviously, with the conflict overseas that is causing oil prices to continue to be very high, about 50% up. So we're seeing inflation in all different areas. And so usually with inflation, we see that the Federal Reserve will hike rates. That's what happened back in the pandemic years. And during that time, we saw a lot of money come out of the sidelines when it comes to stocks, when it comes to cryptocurrencies, because it lowers the ability for particularly technology companies, for example, to be able to borrow money and use funds to try to continue to innovate. It kind of slows that down. And so you can see here that he has highly respected a former Federal Reserve Chair, Greenspan, who during the internet boom in the 1990s kept the interest rate fairly flat because he saw that inflation could potentially come down if we continue to advocate for and to have opportunity for technology to produce more productivity, which in turn then creates less inflation as technology continues to advance. So we're going to see what Kevin Warsh ends up doing, but time obviously will tell. We'll keep you posted, but we definitely have to make sure that we continue to stay in tune with what's happening in the macroeconomic environment, because it definitely does affect what's happening with Bitcoin, with gold, different types of commodities, as well as what's happening in other emerging markets. So we are not just looking at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, but we're looking at other markets as well to get a better understanding and a better handle of how we can continue to increase purchasing power. That's the goal here at Networkchain. And hopefully for many of you, in terms of having the ability, it's not necessarily about how much you have. It's really about being able to increase your purchasing power. So if that takes more Bitcoin, if that takes more gold, if that takes more Nvidia stock, whatever it takes, we want to find ways to be able to not only generate generational wealth, but in doing that, being able to increase our purchasing power for everyday goods and services. Great news story over the past week. This happens every year. Happy Bitcoin Pizza Day. That was May 22nd. This marks the 16th year anniversary of when Laszlo paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 Papa John's pizzas. And this was the first documented trade for a consumer good. Laszlo was a programmer in Florida. I'm not sure where he is now, and I'm sure he is doing fine in terms of his Bitcoin stash. He was known for being able to mine a lot of Bitcoin back in the early days, and for him, he has said on record that he actually does not regret this 10,000 Bitcoin purchase. And so at the time, the Bitcoin was worth about $41, and we'll get into kind of the conversion, what that means now. But today, that 10,000 Bitcoin is currently worth just under $777 million. So we're seeing that over time, the purchasing power has increased when it comes to Bitcoin. In 16 years, it took 10,000 Bitcoin to buy 2 pizzas. And now it takes about 0.000657 Bitcoin to purchase 2 pizzas. And that's if you bought expensive pizzas at $25 a piece. So what this means is that Bitcoin over time, yes, we have the volatility. Yes, Bitcoin is down and has been down over 50% since its high in October of 2025. Yes, we know these things, but still, when you compare it to where it was 16 years ago, it's made huge leaps and bounds. Now, we're not saying that it's going to do that type of multiple from 2010, but we do see that over time, Bitcoin continues to gain value when it's being compared to the US dollar, and particularly any other inflated US or currency, fiat currency around the world. So we just want to make sure that we sometimes get that perspective as to what's actually happening here, even though a lot of people are not disappointed that Bitcoin is down, but we are in a bear market, and bear markets happen with cryptocurrencies. It happens with Bitcoin. Currently on a 4-year cycle. We'll see if that cycle is broken over time, but right now we're still going along with that cycle. So this we look at as a great time to be in accumulation phase. Now, we mentioned the conversion when it comes to Bitcoin and pizza, buying pizza. Let's do it with a medium price home. Medium priced home back in 2020, 6 years ago, it cost anywhere from 30 to 40 Bitcoin, depending on, the time period in 2020. And obviously Bitcoin fluctuated throughout, 2020 as well. But we know that it was over 30 Bitcoin that it took to buy a medium priced home in 2020. Now we know with inflation isn't just with our insurance prices, oil prices, it's also with housing prices as well. As you can see, in 2020, a medium priced home was around $329,000. Now it's almost $420,000. So you can see the conversion here. Now it's 5 Bitcoin as opposed to nearly 40 Bitcoin at 38 Bitcoin here. So we are increasing our purchasing power. Could one day in the near future, maybe 6 years from now or 10 years from now, would a medium price home be able to be purchased with 1 Bitcoin or less than 1 Bitcoin? So far, with what we're doing, and I should say how Bitcoin is currently performing, yes, that's a real possibility. So far, from history, we're seeing that's a possibility. Obviously, historical performance is not indicative of the future, but we can use it as a gauge and to come up with our own thesis on what could potentially happen with Bitcoin in the future. So we are seeing that Bitcoin is working as a store of value. Even though you have opponents to Bitcoin, we are still seeing at the end of the day, over time, if you hold Bitcoin over time, particularly if you hold it for over 4 to 5 years, you're going to see the value of that Bitcoin go up. Now, SpaceX, one of the largest IPOs to hit the market. It hasn't hit the market yet. It just filed officially over the past week. SpaceX is known for looking towards the future, all of the opportunities that are available in space, including, for example, having satellites that would be able to provide internet services around the world, being able to take advantage of the sun and solar energy and being able to then translate that for various uses on Earth. There's a lot of opportunity in space. And so a forward-thinking technology company has Bitcoin, which is a forward-thinking type of money, on the balance sheet. As we can see here, they will soon be added to this public Bitcoin treasury company list. They would rank, let's see, at around 7 when they come onto the public markets. And we are seeing that Strategy, of course, continues to accumulate. They're nearing 850,000 Bitcoin. Strive, they have a perpetual preferred stock similar to Strategies, and they are using that to accumulate more Bitcoin. So they're going up the ladder. And so we see the total Bitcoin by the top 100 publicly traded companies currently stands at 1.2 million Bitcoin. So public companies continue to buy Bitcoin. We here at Networkchain continue to buy Bitcoin. Happy belated Bitcoin Pizza Day to you all. It's a reminder of how far Bitcoin has come. We wish you well in the future. We look forward to linking up with you soon here on the Networkchain. All are welcome. In the meantime, you take care. Bye-bye.